Alrighty, folks. So why don't I call to order the Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday, December 4th, 2017, and if we could all stand the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Payables.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the payroll manifest of December 5th, 2017, and the account payable manifest of December 4th, 2017.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second time I pulled that paper clip off.
Minutes. Minutes.
Got minutes here with us.
Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November 20th, 2017 as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Any reports from any of the boards or the committees?
One thing I was gonna say, I was waiting for these minutes to be approved, and I'm gonna send those, the portion from line 27 down through line 54 to the committee, just so they know the action we took on that charge for the committee.
Nothing on Marston?
Yeah, there's- and Chris set up a meeting, last week. Yeah, well, no, Monday was it, Chris? Yeah, last night. And again, Barry talked to us, about where they were, what we need to do. Still got some things to do before we get there, but at least there's some movement.
What are we waiting on, or what's?
Gotta raise some funds.
Yeah, we can't find a way to get enough done with the money that we have to make it worth starting. It's, you know, we'd get partway through something, but we wouldn't be able to stabilize it, or, no matter how we carve it up, we can't figure out a way to do it, so far. So, now that we have a final design, I think we can start looking for some more help on the fundraising side. We have some grants in the works, but it's going to need more than that.
The planning board hasn't met. The meeting this Wednesday, I can't make it, and Tyler can't make it. I'm not sure what's, do you have internet access?
I do.
Is there a case, if you go to the planning board page, on the website, is there a case listed or agenda? I haven't seen anything. Not sure what's on the docket.
Agenda, there's some documents for the 13th.
Let me go to the server.
Maybe we don't have a meeting this Wednesday, maybe it's
Yeah,
next
13th is
Wednesday.
next Wednesday.
Maybe it's next Wednesday then. All right, that might be my mistake.
It is next week.
Oh, wait.
It's not this week. it's
Okay,
next week.
never mind. There you go.
There you have it.
Problem
Why don't you
solved.
take the night off?
I'll take Wednesday off.
All right, Budget Committee meets Thursday, and we're gonna do Chris is gonna review the first draft of our town budget for next year. There's another meeting next week on the 14th, which I can't make because I have another commitment. So if someone can fill in for me, that'd be great, but it's the second draft review for the school, I believe. So if it's missed, I don't think it's terrible, because there will be a third draft review, so, you know, if nobody can make it, I would assume that's okay.
I can't, so.
I might be able to. I got a meeting in Mass, like at noontime, but shouldn't be there too long. I'll let you know.
All right,
It's more the school, so,
yeah.
yeah. CIP, or are you gonna report?
CIP meets Thursday,
Oh, okay.
just before the budget committee.
Okay. Chris, you're up.
I don't have much for you either. I got a lot of things brewing, but no news that isn't in one of the committees already. Good parade and craft fair the other day. Got through our first mobilization of the plow crews the other night for a quickie. Police department's fleet is all back in order and back in
Oh, good.
service. We don't have the ambulance yet, but I think it's imminent. Tax bills are due on the 11th. Anybody didn't get one, please let us know. We'd be happy to send another one. I think that's it. Yeah, the road paving and highway planning stuff is piling up, so I think I'll start with that in a couple of weeks, and you had talked about waiting for CIP to come back before you really tackled it, but yeah, I'm gonna have more background stuff to you before then. I don't have the hard numbers yet, but I do know that the cost of paving gravel roads is gonna be a bit of a shocker when you get to it.
It's what?
Gonna be a shocker. CMA's giving me some estimates that are, they're gonna give you something to think about, I think. It's gonna make it tough to keep our plan laid out the way we expect it to, but I don't have the hard numbers yet, so.
Okay.
They engineering these roads though, as though they were state highways
Well,
also?
they're gonna give us two numbers. One at what we call the town standard, with certain thickness, that we would have a private contractor do, you know. If they were building a new road, that standard that we set, they'll give us the price to do that, and then a thinner version. Both probably below state standard, but one at 6 inches and one at 4.
Yeah.
Both are sizable. And I'll have something for you on the, I'm gonna have two different ways of going about that pavement condition study thing too. Couple different methods, couple different vendors, so I'll have that to you probably before your next meeting, and we don't have to make any decisions on it, but it's all kind of wrapped up in that same. And we'll also probably be looking at tweaking some of our fees. the genesis of it is building inspection fees, but since we're touching the subject, we're gonna look at everything, and we'll come back to you with something in a few weeks on that. Nothing drastic, but shifting a little bit of the burden within the inspection realm, and suggesting that you push prices up a little bit in a couple things, but not dramatic. It's been a while since anybody's looked at those, so that's brewing too.
How's the solar going?
Solar, we're waiting on, they've ordered the stuff. We're gonna have some trees removed around the fire station, including the one you had asked me about. We're doing it all at once. That is scheduled for the first week of January, I think. This building cleared the structural inspection, if I didn't tell you that last time. So it's on track.
Anyone else have any other questions?
Where's Lakeview at, phase 2? Was that completed? Or it was? Okay, I couldn't remember.
Okay, wanna go on to the general business items?
Sure. Budgets first, yes?
Budgets first.
So, no dramatic changes really. We've tightened up a few things as some of the numbers come in, or we, tweak things or refine things a little bit, but really nothing major. We gave you November 30 actuals for this year. We're gonna be fine. Last time we talked at the end of the third quarter, it was, yeah, we're gonna be okay, but it's gonna be a little tighter than usual. I think we're gonna be just fine. We don't have any squeeze here in the last month, total wise. What I need from you really is to know who you want to see, if anyone, from the departments, so I can start scheduling that. They will be before the budget committee in late January and the first couple nights of February. So before then, if you want to see those folks to talk about anything, police chief, fire chief, recreation, library, it would be good for me to know what you want to get into in detail, if anything, so that we can get that scheduled and leave time for you to make changes if you need to. We have one more December meeting and then 2 in January that fall before then, I believe. But the holidays fall on Monday, so our meetings are going to be the spacing of our meetings this year is a little wonky. We have a long gap coming up. If we need to, we can get together that last week of the year, but I don't see anything at this point that would tell us to do that. We don't have any encumbrances to race through or anything like that. So anyway, what I need to know is who you want to see. I suspect you're going to want to talk about the fire truck, which is the biggest ticket item on the warrant as we see it thus far. Chief's been to the CIP committee already, and they haven't opined anything on it, but did have a chance to talk through it with him. If you want to do the same thing, we can bring him in to talk through that. And I don't know what else you want to do, if anything, with department heads or the library, if you want to see them. But historically, sometimes done everybody, and other times done just whoever's got out of the ordinary kinds of things.
Questionable stuff that,
Yeah.
or things we need to know a little bit more on.
Right, and it's whatever you feel like getting into in that level of detail with them, so.
Is there anybody that, any of you think right now that you'd wanna just,
I know of some law enforcement technology things that are coming down the pike that wouldn't affect any planning for next year's budget, but it's things the chief would probably want to start considering, thinking about now before he makes any decisions, like FirstNet, right? It's that first responder only cellular network. It's being constructed. A&T is now the official commercial partner, and they're rolling it out fast. And that means that the old style, like P25, the digital radios they carry, those are gonna go by the wayside, and we're gonna start seeing more high frequency and what they call band 13 mobile devices. They're cell phones, but they use a different frequency set than regular cell phones. You're gonna see combination devices. Those are gonna be coming in to replace the old radios, and they're not cheap. I know the Motorola APX 9000 is like $6,000 to $8,000 a pop. So it's, I mean, I don't know if how deeply the chief has looked into it, or if he's tapped into that news at all, but that's gonna be, I can see a couple of years down the road, he's gonna have to make some purchasing decisions, so may not be a bad time to start looking at the.
All right, well, we gotta get that in the CIP,
Yeah.
and need to learn what the county's gonna do.
Yeah,
I mean, there'll be plenty of us dragging our feet with this $6,000 per unit
right.
Right.
implementation, so.
Rightfully, the county should be driving it, but
Yeah, well, they've been driving things into trees lately when it comes to radios, so, I imagine the chiefs will have plenty of hesitation about that. Not just ours. It's been a rough go with dispatch and radios last decade. But let's talk about that in the CIP context, because
yeah.
that does sound big enough that we're gonna need to worry about it.
Yeah,
And there may be grants for that, so, FirstNet related, so, because they know it's gonna be a big impact for especially small town departments to completely upgrade their technology base when it comes to radios. So,
Yeah, that does not lend itself to a phased-in implementation. It's, yeah, we'll worry about it.
yeah,
But let's talk about it around CIP.
yeah.
Or maybe you and Gunnar and I get together offline.
yeah, if it's not for this budget cycle, I think that's the best way to go. I think it would be our best interest to have the, fire chief come in and talk about the replacement truck. The library, I don't think there was any big ticket items on that budget, so.
No. No, one thing that, well, we can talk about in the when we talk CIP, the library's lift is reaching the end of its life, and, you know, we need to get ready for that. We don't need to buy one yet, but we're gonna need to get ready for it. I think we can do that through CIP and the other ETF account we have, but that's probably the biggest thing looming at the library.
Any other items on the budget questions that you have for Chris, or?
I mentioned to Chris the other day, it's more CIP, I guess, than anything, but having to do with that special account we have for any emergencies in the building. If something goes down, we've got a, I can't remember exactly what that fund is called, but it's something, it's an expendable.
So it's an expendable trust fund, and you are the agents
Yeah.
of it, yep.
And I guess what's been budgeted is $5,000. I think that should be higher, at least 7,500, if not 10,000. Hopefully nothing happens, but if something does happen, we don't have enough money in there to do much. Particularly if it's the furnace, we're probably talking $25,000, $30,000.
How much money's in there now, do you know?
13?
Balance is 16 right now,
Balance is 16.
Yeah.
so.
And that's, I wanna think about the library lift for that
Yeah.
as well, and that's, goes right to
Exactly,
what
yeah.
Charlie's saying.
Yeah,
We don't wanna replace that before we have to, because you never know, sometimes they go a while, but we had a hard time getting parts for it last year, and that's on that same list as the boiler in this building. When it goes, you need to do it, and we're not prepared to do either one yet.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and they could get by without that a little bit, but if this boiler goes in the wintertime,
Yeah,
be in tough shape.
Right.
Be scrambling to stay warm.
yeah, and 16,000 is.
We do that already.
Lowest boiler.
We're already scrambling to stay warm somehow.
Okay. Route 4?
I sent you a update and a background refresher document a couple weeks ago, and laid out the case for having the place appraised professionally. I think we're getting closer to the point where you can think about selling it, and if you choose to do so, you will want to have some sense from the outside what it's worth. And there are also around the repurchase rights, it will be good for us to have an outside opinion of what it's worth in the event there is some conflict in the future about whether or not we owe the prior owner any profit from selling it. I think we all know we're not going to see that, but we need to be able to, we're going to need to be able to prove it someday, or we might need to be able to prove it someday. And an appraisal would go a long way towards doing that. So that was kind of the next steps that we had in talking to Jim, and I've talked with a couple of you offline about it, and that's the next logical step to go down that road. I solicited 9, I think, different appraisers, and did not find a whole lot of interest in doing it. I think they're busy, and I think it's one of those things that if you didn't have to do that kind of work, you'd pick easier projects. So I did get 2 responses, and I sent you those on Friday, and would just, if you're comfortable with it, like your go ahead to retain one of them and turn them loose. Michael Farinola and Peter Nault of 2 different firms. You have their backgrounds and their proposals. If you look through the stuff I sent you, you'd see there was some different levels of detail that you could buy in this process, and my initial thought was you don't need to go down that far. You don't need to spend that money if you don't have a need for that level of detail. And so I lacking any other information or input, I would just go with the less expensive one, and but I can't speak to the.
But I figured the guy from, Hampton Falls was a little lower in cost, but he said there was a couple other things that might jack it up another
Right.
$500, but
Yeah.
I thought
They
it
weren't
sounded reasonable.
They weren't far off from each other either.
Yeah, well, you could
First one
see
was
the other
pretty
one
high,
getting
like
up
$9,000
there.
Well, if you
Yeah.
compare.
They gave a range to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't know if you happen to have any experience with either one of them, that would,
No.
yeah.
No, I could ask. So they're gonna look at it at highest and best use as they had indicated?
Yeah.
And what I was unclear was, how do they determine that?
Whatever would, I mean, we could have that discussion, but I think it would be whatever would sell for the higher price, you know, or would, but we can flush that out, looking at what the first one sent us. I had asked for, you know, what if we were to look at it commercial, industrial only, as opposed to highest and best use.
Yeah.
Because highest and best use may be residential, I don't
Right.
know. But I suspect there is some desire to avoid residential. You may want to guide things in that direction, so that was what I posed to them, and we can flush that out in more detail, but to your original question, I think highest and best use is pretty straightforward. What
I just
makes it
didn't know
work.
if they look at it from, like, they look in and they say, okay, there's no municipal water, there's no municipal, sewer, okay, rule out commercial, even though commercial could go there.
Mhm.
So I guess I was trying to I'm unclear of how they figure that, what the highest and best use is, because the way that they wrote it, it was almost like they make that determination pretty
Pretty early.
on. So that's why it was, so, you know, maybe it's just me trying to understand that a little bit more. Having a, like you said, having a conversation with them about what that is.
Yep, I can do that and relay that back to you too, if you want.
Yeah, yeah.
And if it means we pay a little bit more for both tracks, then so be it. You know, if we get it appraised at highest and best and non-residential, then I think that'd be good information to have.
Yeah. So do you need a motion?
Well, yeah, if we're gonna, I would pay for this through the special appropriation made by town meeting that relates to our carrying costs, our ownership costs of this. This isn't coming out of the regular budget, so to that end, yes, I would like you to tell me to do it with a vote, because it's special.
Yeah, so would the motion be that we expend X amount of dollars out of that
Yeah.
account?
Yep. Yeah, for whatever purpose, yes, for this purpose. And I would say that up to, what? $4,000?
Yeah, I was gonna say 5.
Yeah,
Just to be on the
whatever,
safe side.
whatever.
And what's the account?
It is the, well, I don't know if we have a name for it. No, it's an appropriation, but it didn't create a fund.
Okay,
So it was appropriated, but,
right, it wasn't a fund,
right.
right, okay. Okay,
So just call it the appropriation
yep.
for the former USA Springs property.
Someone wanna make a motion?
So moved.
Well
I
done.
I move with the Board of Selectmen authorizes town administrator to engage an appraiser and to expend funds from a special fund to pay the cost of this appraisal. Or words to that effect.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
So officially, it is the Groundwater Protection Expendable Trust Fund.
Trust.
Ooh,
Thank you.
we did create a fund.
Oh,
Is that the right one?
no.
No.
sorry.
No.
It's,
No, it's,
That's right.
acquisition,
yeah, it doesn't have a fund, it's just a purpose, which is fine, but, the record is sufficiently clear now that we'll know where to take it out.
Yeah.
where it's been.
All right, thank you, I will keep you posted on how that goes.
Anything else?
You gotta chair more often.
Yeah. She's sniffling and sneezing right now. It's from handing out that candy to those children. All right, motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
All right?
All right.
All right, thank you, folks.